Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. Methamphetamine and opioids, Billings 2 coping with drugs on all levels.
Drug addiction, a hot topic at the Billings Library tonight as community members and experts weighed in.
A panel focused on drug addiction, saying it's a disease, not a choice. Q2's David J. was there. David?
Russ, Jeanelle, the topic was the local impact of opioids, but the panel said other drugs may be even more of a problem. One of the speakers said alcohol, meth, and marijuana are the top three for drug addiction, with opioids around fourth or fifth. Another person who works with drug addiction said meth makes up about 70% and opioids 7%, but there's still that concern for opioids. And the expert said it takes understanding and empathy to help people with addictions. One woman has been off drugs for 3 years and graduated from the drug court in Yellowstone County on this date last year.
It's about a connection. The opposite of addiction is connection. So I'm here to kind of tell my story about it and how I went from not having any hope or faith or anything that was of light to such a bright future.
Once we get people into recovery and we do our job, and we get them through treatment and we get them through the court, then they're out in the community and they need to have continued support, continued resources, but mostly a connection.
Meanwhile, in Washington today, Senator Steve Daines asked for solutions for meth addiction in Montana, and he talked about seeing the impact on families after he recently visited the Rimrock Foundation. Russ?
All right, thanks, David. Montana state lawmakers are taking action to try and address opioid addiction, passing a bill just this week. House Bill 86, sponsored by Representative Vince Rickey of Laurel, is now awaiting the governor's signature. That bill aims at stopping doctor shopping by restricting most new patients to a 7-day supply of painkillers. It requires physicians to check patients' history in Montana's drug registry before issuing a prescription, requires pharmacies to verify the identity of recipients, and also protects legitimate use of painkillers under close supervision. Attorney General Tim Fox calls the bill a significant step forward in addressing opioid addiction in Montana.
The president's emergency declaration blocked by the Senate today as a dozen Republicans joined Democrats. But the president has already indicated the legislation is dead on arrival at the White House. Nicole Killian reports.
Every Democratic senator voted for the resolution overturning the president's national emergency declaration.
The yeas are 59. The nays are 41.
They were joined by 12 Republicans who said allowing federal funds to be redirected to pay for a border wall would set a bad precedent.
Only Congress is empowered by the Constitution to adopt laws directing monies to be spent.
This is not about the president or about border security. In fact, I support border security.
Mr. Trump responded to the vote with a one-word tweet: veto. It would be the first of his presidency.
President Trump will prevail. His veto will be sustained. I just want my colleagues to know I appreciate and respect your concerns, but I don't share them.
Democrats say they'll try to override the president's veto, but doing so would require the support of 2/3 of the House and Senate, which they admit they don't have.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer applauded the GOP lawmakers who stood up to the White House.
Republicans are learning that total embrace of President Trump is counterproductive and unsustainable.
The emergency declaration is also being challenged in court by several states who argue it's unconstitutional. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Trump has more than a week to formally veto the measure after Congress sends it to the White House.
Both Montana U.S. senators speaking out today. John Tester leading the charge against the president's emergency declaration. He called it a dangerous precedent and also accused the president of robbing from the military to build a wall.
That we'll be shortchanging our troops in favor of a campaign promise to build a wall that he said Mexico would pay for. The president's plan to raid our military resources would directly hurt Montana's military community and its men and women that are in uniform.
Montana's other U.S. Senator, Republican Steve Daines, voted against that resolution. Daines released a statement saying, after visiting the southern border and meeting with local law enforcement in all corners of Montana last month, it is clear we have an illegal drug and illegal immigration crisis on our hands. This is an emergency, Daines says.
Airport and street crews in Denver still cleaning up after the bomb cyclone wreaked havoc across the region. Crews worked through the night and all day today to clear snow from runways and roads. In fact, all 6 runways at Denver International are open tonight, and flights out of Montana resumed normal today. Now, that big storm not only impacted flights here in the Billings region, today it also took a toll on some fast food service. Management at the McDonald's on Grand Avenue and 10th put up signs on the doors today asking customers to please be patient. Due to the storm in Denver, its normal delivery truck could not make it into Billings. Tonight, employees tell us there's no concern. They borrowed food from other McDonald's stores across town.
All right, we want to turn to the weather now, which is warming up. And Bob, that means going out on the ice is getting even more and more dangerous.
Yeah. A lot of people want to do that. Just to get out there, you see the ice. I feel like I want to walk across the river if I can. Let me show you a place where we do have a lot of ice. This is Glacier National Park. You're looking at Lake McDonald, and that is totally covered over with ice. Now, you might be tempted to go out and do a little ice fishing out there. So we had some ice. This is our ice thickness guide. I want you to keep this in mind when you get out there. First off, if it's under 2 inches or less, you need to keep off the ice altogether. You could fall through it. Now, if you're going to do a little ice fishing, you need to have about 4 inches thick of ice. If you're going to be snowmobiling or have ATVs out on the ice, you need 5 to 6 inches of snow, or not snow, but of ice thickness. And then also, if you're going to be driving cars or small trucks on the ice, you need to have 8 to 12 inches of ice thickness over there. And if you're going to take the bigger trucks, you need about 12 to 15 inches of ice on there. Now, here's the good news. Take a look at this. We are going to be warming up, so the ice is going to be getting thicker the next few days. We'll all be warming up into the 50s by the time spring gets here. So if you're going out on the ice, you need to do it very soon because it's getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Well, Butte is gearing up for its wild St. Patrick's Day celebration this weekend.
MTN's John Amy tells us about a time a few years back when that party got a little too wild and what police did to bring it under control.
St. Patrick's Day in Butte is a great time for a party. But there was a time in the mid-2000s when that party got a wee bit out of control, especially for the police.
We had beer bottles thrown at us, we had beer cans, it was just chaos there for a few years. And we were at fear of getting officers hurt.
About 2003 and 2004, the streets were flooded with drunken revelers. Many remember one man climbing to the roof of the M&M and then relieving himself on the crowd below.
Some instances where cop cars were almost tipped over, people walking top the buildings, peeing off some of urinating off some of the signs and stuff in the area.
In 2005, police stepped up security through grants by increasing manpower and more than doubling the police presence on the street during the celebration. This made a big difference.
4 to 5 officers in every corner. People are more likely not to break a window or throw beer cans at other people or start a fight.
Police also cracked down on underage drinking, and bars agreed to close earlier to help them clear the streets.
You were having Missoula and Bozeman and all the colleges on spring break, and they were going, let's go to Butte. It's lawless over there. We can do whatever the hell they want.
In recent years, police have reported fewer arrests, fewer incidents of vandalism, and most people find the St. Patrick's Day celebration here in Butte a good thing. So if you find yourself walking under the M&M during St. Patrick's Day, well, maybe take an umbrella, just in case.
Hopefully the sun's going to come out and we're going to have a real nice holiday. It's a good bump for Butte, Montana, and we should embrace it.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
All right, thanks, John. Up next in tonight's Health Watch, a child sex abuse survivor tells her story as she uses her past pain to help other Montana children.
And in sports, Scott shows us if Rockies basketball women could pull off an upset in tonight's national tournament opener.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.